Hello everybody and welcome. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to add the bands, the bottom bands to the Adrianne sweater. This is the newest pattern by the DIBY Club and it is such a wonderfully stylish and comfortable open side sweater. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. And of course, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our future videos. We do lots of fun tutorials and basic sewing instruction and all sorts of things on the channel. So make sure you subscribe. So to go ahead and get started, I have my bodice here sewn together like so. I have the back, two pieces sewn together so that we have one back piece, and then I have gone ahead and attached the back bodice and the front bodice together at the shoulder seams, and then I have my sleeves added on. But you'll notice that the sides are completely open here. We do not have any of the sides attached. And if you are going through this on the written instructions, you should be at this point and before you get to the band. So make sure you get to this point before you start into this video. Now, the next thing I want you to notice is that this pattern has a significant amount of notches to make it easy to put together. So I like to whip around with my rotary cutter really fast. So I don't typically cut out my notches. I usually just mark them. So I will go ahead and show you. There we go. All right, so I have, let's go ahead and find them. There's a notch marking right there. You see that marker right there? That is where I've not marked my top notch, and there is my bottom notch. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but I have it marked with, I use washable marker to mark those. So I have these two notches marked on both sides of my bodice piece. So when I lay it out here, I have top notch, bottom notch, and top notch, bottom notch, both marked on both sides of the front bodice piece. And the pattern does not have a center marking notch for the front bodice piece, but if you want a little tip from me, go ahead and take a moment when you are cutting this to mark the center point of your front bodice. I have done that with the same marker down here. It just makes it a little easier to align your center of your band to the front bodice piece. The back bodice has your center seam when you attach the two pieces together, but the front bodice does not. So go ahead and mark those. The next thing you'll want to have on hand are your bands, of course. So I'm using two coordinating colors here just to make it easy for you guys to see what exactly I'm attaching where. So I have my back band here and my front band right here. So one thing you'll want to be absolutely sure of is that you have cut your bands correctly, okay? This means that the grain line needs to be going this way, not this way. If you're in a hurry and you aren't paying attention and you've sewn quite a bit, most bands have the grain line going this way, but this pattern, you need the grain line going this way. This is going to keep your hem, banded hemline from being really wavy. If you have the grain line in the wrong direction, you're going to get a lot of waves and you're going to be really sad. So don't do that. Second thing to note, please make sure that if you have done any of the custom fit adjustments, that means height adjusting, grading, or an FBA, that you have taken the time to recalculate the length of these bands. Now this is included in the written tutorial. I'm not going to go over it here, but it is included in your instructions, so please take the time to do that, otherwise they will not match up. The last thing that you'll want to make sure and do is add in your center notch. So I have a center notch on both of my patterns, my band pieces here. Now these of course are going to match up with the center points of your bodice pieces, and it just makes it a whole lot easier to align when you have these marked, especially because these bands are so long. And lastly, just for a trick or a tip, when you're cutting your bands, make sure you cut them on the fold with the wrong sides together. This is just nice because when you attach them, they have to be with the wrong sides together, so it just saves you a little bit of time. I know we typically like to cut and do everything right sides together, but if you do it right sides together, you'll just have to flip them back over. So it just saves you a few minutes. So go ahead and make sure that you cut these with the wrong sides together. So I'm going to go ahead and start by grabbing my bodice here, and I am going to lay it out with my front bodice facing up, okay? So the right side is facing up. And just go ahead and lay this out so you can see it really nicely. And I am going to start by grabbing my front band, which is this teal band here. So I'm going to start by laying it down with my raw edge down, notch facing down. The folded edge is facing the inside of the bodice, okay? And this is laying on top of the right side of the front bodice piece. And I'm going to locate my center marking here on my bodice and align it with my notch. So go ahead and line these up and pin that into place. The next place we want to pin will be this point of our band. So this point up here is going to be matched up with the top notch on the side of your shirt here. So I will go to the side here. I've got my notches marked, top and bottom notches right there. So I'm going to take top notch and match it up with the top of my band, okay? That bottom notch is going to come into play here in just a few minutes when I stick on my back band. So don't worry about it yet. Just stick this top notch up against, so there's my, you can't see it very well, but my marking's right there, and align the top of your band with that notch. And then I'm going to go ahead and ease the rest of the band onto the bodice. The bands are calculated at 102% of the hemline of the shirt, so there will be a little bit of stretching from the bodice here. If you want to make sure you get it nice and even, take a moment to calculate or mark quarter points on your band and quarter points on your hemline to align, and then ease in between. But I'm going to go ahead and just ease the rest of this side onto the bottom of this side of the bodice. Okay, so there is this side. Now I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same thing onto the other side of the front bodice piece. All right, now we have the front band completely pinned to the bottom of the front bodice. Just to recap, we have all the raw edges on this side, folded edge on the inside, and the top of the band, this corner here, corner points here, are aligned with the top notches, okay? Now we're going to grab our back band here, and the only thing we're going to be sewing with the back band is this little angled side right here, and this is where the second notch comes into play. So I have, at this point, the folded edge is going to be facing out, okay, opposite of the front band. So folded edge is out, raw edge is in, and I have this short angled side on the outside here, okay? And now I'm going to start by aligning my top point here with the top point of my front band, and go ahead and pin that into place. Next, I'm going to be aligning this bottom corner with that bottom notch. sorry, I have a pin in my mouth. I know that's a no-no, but I only have 2 hands here. So, there is my bottom notch. There is the bottom of the back band. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that into place. So now I have that side angled edge aligned with the top notch right here and the bottom notch right here. Raw edge right here, folded edge on the outside, raw edge on the inside. Now let's go ahead and do that to the other side. Okay, so everything is pinned together. We have the front band on top of the front bodice and the back band on top of the front band. So at this point we're ready to sew. We're going to go ahead and sew with our seam allowance included from this point up here down, going over this side edge of the back band, and then down all the way around and back up to this point up here. So once you get past the end of this back band, these corners here, you want to make sure that from this point on down here, you are only catching the front bodice and the front band, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and here is that front band attached. So we have front band completely attached to the front bodice, and then I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see one of these sides here of the back bodice. Just taking a second to trim off these threads. All right. So go ahead and take a look at that beauty. So we have the, remember, back bodice or back band is pink coral, and the teal is the front bodice. So I have that just attached at the side there. And the rest goes all the way down without any of the coral attached once we get to that point there, okay? We're going to go ahead and flip this so that our back bodice is facing up. And take our front bodice and lay it over top. Ish. It's not going to go all the way over top. It's going to go over top-ish, like this, okay? And just like before, I have my notches marked. I have a top notch here and a bottom notch here, okay? And what I'm going to do is take the top of the coral. So this is my back band, top of the coral. Match it up with my top notch, just like I did with my front band. Okay, so I have it aligned at the top here, and I'm going to go ahead and pin that together. Okay, now I have my front band here underneath. Okay, so this is the angled edge of my front band. And I'm going to start by aligning the bottom corner here with my bottom notch, just like we did with our back band on the front bodice. Okay, so we have both the front and the back. I'll go ahead and zoom in. We have both the front and back bands and the back bodice all matching up together at that top notch up here. There's my notch, okay? Then I have the bottom point of my back band, or I'm sorry, bottom point of my front band, teal here, front band, matched up with the bottom notch. Okay, now I'm going to take my coral, this is my back band, and go ahead and align it over top here and pin it down along with the other layers. So now it is all layered on top of each other right here. I have my back band on top of my front band, on top of my back bodice, all that pinned together on this side, okay? Now, let's go to our center point, which is marked by your seam, and match up our center marking, which you can see my notch down here. I have marked with my marker, and I'm aligning the center point of my back band with the center point of my back bodice, okay? And then at this point, I'm going to do just what I did with my front bodice and front band, and I'm going to ease the rest of this band onto this side. Okay, I have this one side pinned over here, having it all eased together. And now I'm going to go ahead up to the sleeve here. And I'm going to fold it with the right sides together. Make sure to match up the base of my arm side. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin the bottom of the sleeve and this little spot of side seam on the shirt together down to the top point of my bands. Whoop whoop, we're almost done. Let's go ahead and pin the other side. Okay, so we have everything pinned all the way from the edge of the sleeve here up to the arm side down and around the band and hemline and back over to this sleeve here. And we're going to go ahead and sew along that entire line. Now make sure when you're sewing that on this stretch here, this is the section right here and right here, include that small angled side of the front band. So you'll want to sew the front band on right here, but after that, from this point around and to this point, you only want to be grabbing your back band and your back bodice. Make sure that none of this comes down and gets caught up in your stitches. You want to keep this up and out of the way. So let's go ahead and get that sewn. Okay, now here she is. We have the sides here, the bands overlapping each other on both sides. Our side seams are sewn, our sleeves are sewn, and so she is ready to go. But one last thing, this is absolutely not to be skipped. We want to go ahead and press it. I like to press it with the seam allowance going up into the sweater. And remember, when you're pressing knits, it is just that. It is pressing. You are not sliding across the fabric. If you slide across the fabric, you're going to stretch it out. So make sure you are just pressing down. Now, as long as you didn't pull on the band as you were sewing it, and you made sure to ease it in evenly, at the end of this press here, you should have a really smooth band. And there you have it. Your bands are complete. So go ahead from this point and continue on in the tutorial to wrap up your neckline and your cuffs and enjoy your new Adrianne sweater. I'll see you later, guys.